Hello, and welcome to what is going to be the last, well, second to last video, because I'll do my wrap-up video. So, yeah, we're just kind of cleaning up at this point. Honestly, I don't even think we're taking any more forts from Kalium out. We'll probably take this one because it's along the way. I'm pretty much just going to come down here and just nab these couple of thrones, and I'm positioning giants in place. So any type of real fighting that was going to happen, yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. I'm just going to leave them with the rest of their forts basically under siege. Oh, wow, we had another win. Amazing. And it's the same province I think it just took last time. Okay, so looks good. I've shifted all my giants across because I have my flying boots here. So we're going to claim that throne. And then we are going to bring these down and around. Yeah, whatever. If some giants starve, some giants starve. I'm not really... you are my regular army. So let's pull you down to there. Let's pull you down to... Honestly, I'll hold back one because I don't want a ton of them gaining... basically... locked up for no real reason there. Yeah, and I'll just continue to siege on those. I don't think they're going to be able to break them, and even if they do, it should be fine. It should be fine. You know what? We'll do this just to make sure that there's... like 4 on each area. That will pretty much take care of that problem. Man, you're not producing me many giants, are you? There we go. That's more what I need. I don't care. Just wait. Just wait. I really don't want to flip through most of these guys on these turns. Yeah, they lose, not a big deal. They lose, not a big deal. So my troops are starving, which I knew was actually going to happen. So I'm going to starve a little bit, but we're going to break through this fort right here next turn. And I have a bunch more giants right here as well. So just go ahead and preach for the moment. Oh, I didn't have you on repeat recruitment. No wonder. Oh, well, I've only had one turn of recruitment. That's fine. We'll bring him up. You can just sit there. So I want this group down here, plus everything else I have. That should be enough to take down this slightly weaker fortification. Wow, they're up to 850 now, so they have put all their defenses up. It should go down fairly quick, though. I'm not too worried here. Again, I don't care. I'm a very, very uncaring god at this point. So let's actually transfer these all back across for the bit onto him. Sure, go ahead and get 4 of you guys going in. Bring you down. Bring him down. To make sure Kalium's not able to break out on these last couple of forts, and I'll be happy. Alright, so there is those guys. It's a lot more giants, and my giants are going to be starving by the time I launch these assaults, but that's fine. Again, I'm a very uncaring deity. Come on, Baratos, don't be stealing these, because I don't want to go to war with both of you. That's why I've decided to pull all my troops down here. Don't be a dick. Alright, so there's Construction 7. Or Construction 9. I don't know, just throw it wherever. I'm not even collecting blood slaves or anything at this point, so yeah. Alright, so this army is ready to go. Guess I could have turned those off. Looks like we've managed to take that, and then we will begin scooting around. Get all of my forces together. Actually, why don't you guys just go ahead and stand right there for the moment. I've got a couple turns anyway, so I'll just drop back and pick up those few. Right, so we need to bring them around. So I'll have a turn of starving coming up here. Not a huge deal. Looks like these units are ready to go. So there's no point in me having them starve early, so I'm just going to leave them in the separate positions until I'm pretty much ready to launch in for my assault. Oh, there goes my treasury. Way down. Yeah, Neefle Giants will do that even when you have just a ridiculous amount of gold. Alright. Looks good. Well, you guys better not be planning on attacking me. Let's go ahead. Oh, wow. I still have the few blood hunting my fort there. So we'll pull all of these forward. Then we will pull all of these forward. Yeah. I don't know, I'm going to get a couple of these guys kind of down close to my throne here, just in case something kind of wonky happens. And same thing, I'll bring these over to that. So then I've got my bases covered. So yeah, really no point in wiping Kalium out. I could just basically keep their forts locked down with 2 giants forever. I'm going a little heavy, but that's alright. So, we are starving at this point, so we're going to hit that. We're going to hit that. Make sure I've got my guys scripted up. I do. Honestly, these Jarls have far better leadership capabilities than my other guys, so I'll probably just toss them over the units here. Alright, and I'll just embed these inside my throne over here, because I don't want to lose any of my 3 thrones. So if they just march through my lands, my couple of giants should be able to handle it. So really, I did not auto break through. What about here? There we go. We will storm the castle. Honestly, I don't care about any of that. So we have won, and now did we break through? So we storm the castle. I will claim this throne, then fly across since I have those boots, and claim that throne, and we are done. Another Let's Play down the drain. Let's just, I don't care, just throw them all up here. So 3 turns, and then we are done here. Okay, I did get the throne, right? Yeah, Oakstrong's got it. So, whatever, they're not going to break. Oh, no. Break the siege. Dang it. Break the siege. Should have been patrolling. That was my bad. Alright. So I have broken the sieges, and then we will take my profit, and we will fly up here. I'm going to just have all of these guys patrol the province. Looks like my other 3 thrones are still sitting safe. And victory. So yeah, kind of anticlimactic for the end, but there we are. Another turn of the wheel is done. So I do like the little bit they added here at the victory screen. It does make it nice overall. So yeah, they were claiming territory from me. Honestly, at that point in the game, it's just the couple that I need, so I don't really care what they do. So yeah, there we go. That is a game completed yet again, and a ton of gems, other things I could have spent stuff on. I mean, I don't know, I guess I could have went through the items a little bit more. There's just not a lot of value at Construction 8. I mean, how many of these things do you really absolutely need? Cleansing Chime, it's alright. The range 15 is kind of terrible on it. There's really just not many game-winning items up here anymore. Just far, far too expensive to really make use of on top of the whole, yeah. Anyways, boy, should I just do the in-game breakdown now, since that was pretty much, yeah, let's just go ahead and jump in here. So, obviously, score graphs, we can see where Kalium jumps me here. Can we see any fights? And Kalium actually got a province back at some point towards the end there. I don't know. I guess maybe they broke one of those forts open. I didn't notice that. Honestly, Baratos was not looking really all that strong. But again, if you really check the graphs, you can really see the wars going on here. This is the reason I don't like to have the graphs on. I like people scouting, but just look at the mirrors right here. For most of it, obviously not all of it. But you can really, when you see that over a long period of time, you can tell that there is a war going on. In fact, if we just kind of look around here, this right here looks to be where the war started. So yeah, this is why I don't like the score graphs overall. If you're pretty good at just sitting here and looking at them for a while and playing a few games, you can really kind of begin to read them and have an idea what's going on in the world with them on. Forts, it looks like I was stomping, but that's just because I stole a bunch from Kalium, who was way ahead of me. Income, yeah, it was sitting way up there at the very top. Looks like Acro actually kept themselves in the game with mostly Skells. Can we see Illwinter going down? I'm not actually seeing a real negative onto any of the incomes here. So I'm not quite sure where I cast it at, or what they were doing to possibly counter it, because they should have been losing a ton of income. Literally on the same turn, which I am not seeing at all here. Let's see, it's before I went to war with Kalium. So Kalium takes a few provinces from me. Right in here. So this is about the time I cast, or is it back here farther? I don't know. A little weird. I'm actually kind of wondering about that, because it does not look like the income was really tanking for those nations. Not like a negative 15 or a negative 20% should show on this graph right here. Gym income, I'm obviously at the top. Research. Yeah, it definitely took me a while to get out of the bottom of it, though. You can definitely see it was a long time before I really even found many sites. There was just those few that I found in the first few, and most of my sites were on the lower area, which I actually ended up site searching later. So that would probably be when I kind of hit that area down there. So that was a bit unfortunate overall, not overly surprising. So score graphs, I mean, I really got the Amazons going fairly quickly. The Garnets, I may not have started building them right off the bat because I was recruiting those skin shifters, but I did get the lab up quite quickly. But you can see just the almost flat line right here, and it's mostly thanks to all of my Amazons that I really had much there. Now Dominion looks like I should have been absolutely doing a ton of work, and I was. Not quite as much as Acro, funny enough. You can definitely see Michelin having a very hard time with Dominion. That's the dying Dominion. The AI still does not handle it well. It doesn't happen nearly as common as it used to, like every game actually. But you still do see Michelin occasionally just dying in the first 2 years. And that has to do with the fact that they have a dying Dominion. So their temples don't actually produce checks. They have to blood sacrifice in order to produce candles. And they, I believe, their home province does a check at half strength, and I think their god might only get like one check at half strength or something like that. So basically all of their candles come from blood sacrifice, so they have to blood hunt and then put a bunch of priests into actual utilizing those to push their dominion. And if they end up next to or too close to a bunch of nations that really temple up very fast, you can see this just incredibly flat line right here will just basically tank and they'll die. And it's not incredibly uncommon. You can see how far the game was. It's probably what is that? I don't know, probably about year 3 before they really even unflatline their Dominion. And that could be pretty hard depending on what they're facing. And army size, I was actually winning at points. That's a little surprising. Kalium was just massive at one point, though. So, closing game thoughts. I really just don't care for the giant nations. I feel they're kind of one-trick ponies, and while there are some ways to kind of dance around those tricks, it really just does not add up to a strong nation, in my opinion. If I were to kind of place the giant nations, they would almost be like about the middle tier, because they have some great matchups, they have some terrible matchups, and it doesn't matter which one you're talking about. You can really just interchange any giant nation with any other. They have really good SCs, but they're research can be kind of expensive even on a nation like Hinnom, although they are far, far better than Niefelheim. So yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the giant nations overall, but I really didn't want to do a Let's Play where I was going to have to spend several hundred hours doing testing with multiple builds, trying to run things, figure out what I like the most. There's not really much you need for boosters as far as the nation goes, so you're kind of left with a lot less choices overall. Sure, you can go ahead and just build those boosters into your pretender so that you don't have to dig for those Gaijus, and that probably would be a help. But is it actually going to win you the game? Probably not. There's really no key boosters the nation has to have in order to access a plethora of magic that will basically be their bread and butter battle magic spells. In fact, they really can't even afford to field that many battle mages. So they do work a little different. It's all about those Jarls. It's all about the Jarls. And I really do think it's a very odd nation. Odd as in interesting overall, because I think that the power of the nation, again, if you're just top of the screen, is like just the best in the game, and this is like, you know, EA Rillier. I mean, the first year, they're way up here. Incredibly strong till, like, what is it, turn 13, 14 when summer of year 2 hits. And from there, it's a long time until you can actually get your Jarls, the research, and the gear behind them. In fact, most other nations will have already hit their late-game battle magic, and you'll still be kind of twiddling your thumbs, wondering when you're going to actually hit yours, which can leave you kind of in some harder defensive wars come that that later mid game or later late game. But once you actually hit the late game, you actually kind of jump up, I'd say, to like about average, maybe a little above. But once you hit that late game again, and you have all the various tools for those giants, I just think the nation really takes off as the game continues to go. Yeah, I'm still going to say Illwinter's a win more spell. I really have a feeling people are going to disagree with me on that. Maybe that's a kind of multiplayer thing where if you're in the running late game, but there happens to be another late game fire, like Heat Nation, Heat either 2 or 3, you know, because they've dumped some skills in that direction. There's probably a ton of value to be had there since you can't utilize all your Jarls out there otherwise. You can still utilize a fair number of them, you just can't utilize all of them. I just, I don't know, I kind of question the overall value of the Illwinter itself. To me, you're probably in a pretty good position when you get it off. I am going to say I'm very, very unhappy with the kind of dice I rolled, just in hindsight looking back at the game. The early game, I think I should have just went with the Nephil Giants. Since I ended up not going, Baratos or Micklin did not declare on me, so I know now, having finished the game, that I was completely safe to just avoid my Nephil Giants until I had Illwinter up, which is great news for me. But at the time, I wasn't sure if one of them would actually declare like a year 1 or early year 2 war on me, in which case I really can't move them far beyond my own borders without really over-templing a whole lot. So, a little bit of hesitation on my part there, which didn't burn me too bad when all is said and done, but those loss of skin shifters across, well, honestly, all 3 of those final provinces, you have to realize I probably lost about 80 skin shifters. 10 of those cost 800 gold, so I probably lost about 6,000 gold in the middle of year 2. For the just number for number, if we're just kind of looking at it in a very simple way, I can buy 2 skin shifters and or 2 skin shifters or 1 Nephil Giant, either 160 or 155, and the upkeep due to the sacred status on my Giants would have been far cheaper. I could have rushed Kalium, then came back and actually probably claimed that throne because I don't think the other nations would have gotten it. I wouldn't have gotten tied up in that barbarian province that cost me, I don't remember what it was, like 35 of my skin shifters or whatever. So in hindsight, yeah, I kind of wish I had not went with that. My giants would have been strong enough to stand up to the barbarians far, far better than the skin shifters would have. And it's not that I didn't really know that I shouldn't attack those provinces, because I kept saying as I was going to attack them, well, I don't want to wait anymore, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And then it was a just disaster. And that was just the barbarian province. And then I knew exactly what was in the throne. I was like, okay, so I've lost a bunch of giants, 10 or 15 to some wolf tribe. That was unfortunate. Then I lost a stack of around, I think, 30 to the barbarians. So I built back up, and I had like 45, and I'm like, I really want this throne so I can get my second fort up, and I can start getting some more Geiges out, because I was already recruiting my Jarls. That was one thing that kind of hurt me, because I did not go to that early war with Kalium. I was unable to steal a fort, so it actually was a long time before I could get more Geiges out, which meant more site searchers to really effectively at least get me that nature income faster, although I only had, what, I think 4 gems. But that's not an insignificant thing overall. But my impatience due to those 2 provinces ends up costing me, again, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I'm going to say right around 80 skin shifters, and that's 6,400 gold, which, if you're actually in a game that's pretty tight and pretty competitive, that's a lost game. You're not going to be able to generally recover from a tight game like that. Thankfully, Kalium, who looked to be pretty aggressive, jumped on Micklin instead of myself. It looks like, I don't know, at some point Baratos and Acro started going at it. So thankfully I was just kind of sitting on the sidelines and able to actually scale back into the game. But that's a problem that you shouldn't have if you go with those early giants. I mean, hindsight's 50-50, or hindsight's, yeah, 50-50. 50-50 vision, yeah. So, I mean, I could see, looking at the game as a whole now, what the superior choice was. At the time, I doubted if that was the correct choice, and it turns out that I was actually wrong, and it cost me a lot of gold. Thankfully, the game was, honestly, I was just kind of left alone until I already had hit all of my late game power spikes. So then I just kind of steamrolled in through whoever. I think grabbing Micklin when I did was pretty good. That gave me an additional level 2 throne, though. Choosing to pick a fight with a Heat Nation, even though I only had 3 giants at the time that were capable of heading into that Heat Dominion. But I already had regular troops built skin shifters and just Jotun Spearmen. So I didn't really have to worry about the Neefel Giants, and just a handful of Neefel Jarls can actually manage to really put a hurt on a nation, whether it's Micklin or anybody else. So I actually really think that it did work out in a way, even though I kind of chose some bad choices in hindsight, because you get to kind of see how you can work around the heat, and is it nearly as efficient as just maybe sitting on your hands until you cast Illwinter and then just running around with Neefel Giants all over the place and Jarls on top of them? Probably not. Are you always going to be able to have the convenience for such a thing? No, probably not as well. There's some times where I've actually done this with Abysia, who just sits on the opposite end of the scales, because I actually like EA Abysia quite a bit. They're a Heat 3 nation that actually spreads their Heat scales. And I've gotten locked into some early wars before with Cold nations, and it's like, well, my units are just going to lose pretty much all effectiveness just marching into the opponent's area. So I've kind of been on the opposite end of the spectrum before. So, yeah. I don't know, I'll probably end up redoing this video because I'll think of a bunch of things as I'm laying there getting ready to go to bed tonight. Construction 8, I'm going to go ahead and just piss and moan about it just a little bit more. The stuff's overpriced at this point. I really think, since they especially added the option for the limited forging, one item per turn, they should really go in and either really beef up the items, make a 40 gem item worth 40 gems, or they really need to go back to the drawing board and just cut the gem costs and cut the ability so that a lot more nations can gain access to the various items up there. Most nations are going to be able to go to Construction 8 and forge up 6 or 7 out of all of the items up there, which is just terrible value. If they were all ridiculously good, almost like game-winning type items, it would be a far different story in my opinion. They're not, though. A lot of the stuff you can end up forging are like the, Sandals of the Crane. My mage teleports around in battle. How does that help me? What does that actually do? Not a whole lot, to be honest. There's a couple tricks you can actually still do with Blink, but not a lot. I did actually put the Ivory Crown on it. It still only has the bonus of 2 for Ivy Lord. Don't know why I thought it had a higher bonus on it. Might be just the Ivy Kings that have the higher bonus. So yeah, I just don't see any real value in Construction 8. Construction 9 is kind of the same boat, honestly. Mechanical Dragon, yeah, it's nice. Is it really worth going all that way? No, absolutely not. Probably the single Construction 9 thing that's worth it, if you can cast them, are the idols, which happen to put out a temple check each turn, which is something I've kind of thought about doing as like a pop or a dom kill type nation here for one of my playthroughs, and maybe eventually trying to push that deep and just instead of actually trying to battle my opponents, maybe take some sort of crazy defensive type build and just beat them down with lots and lots of blood sacrifices, so that I can just produce a ridiculous number of temple checks on the map. Maybe get some Graven Idols? I don't remember the exact name of it. The idol. That would be kind of interesting, but that's really like the only Construction 9, and even those are very expensive. I believe they're like, I want to say between 20 and 40 Astral Pearls for one, which is quite expensive if I'm going to be brutally honest about it. Yeah, just not a lot of value past Construction 7 in my opinion. Construction 7 is not even for all nations either. The real biggie there is you can get golems, and golems can be very, very good on particular nations because it gives you a pretty decent SC option that doesn't worry about fatigue and things like that. So you can honestly put any type of items on them. The encumbrance really doesn't matter, so you really open a lot of options up for yourself. Not that I was really trying to balance fatigue neutral Jarls this game anyways. I guess I'm really happy at finding the double Amazons, because it gave me an ability to kind of show off a lot of the things that the nation does. I do kind of regret when I was fighting Micklin not stopping to take a peek at the overall encumbrance and trying to get the fire resist on my giants, just so that we could take a look at that overall. Yeah, hindsight's 50-50 again. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Wow. Black screen. Alright, until next time.